Welcome to the Beyond Anxiety podcast, where we talk about dismantling mental health stigmas, mental health awareness through education, and strategies for overcoming mental health challenges. I'm your host, Darius Fennell, and I'm a mental health and therapy advocate, published author, speaker, and coach. I'm so glad you decided to tune in and listen, and I'm so excited to get into this next episode. Welcome, and please like, subscribe, follow, comment, and enjoy.
And welcome back to another episode of the Beyond Anxiety podcast. So glad that you are here. And I have another special guest who is no stranger to me or the show. He was on season 1. He was actually my first guest. So please give a warm welcome for Jonathan Zila. For those who did not see the first episode, he and I have known each other for, well over probably a decade now, just about.
Yeah.
If not longer, but Jonathan and I have been friends for a good time. We have shared in a mental health journey, and our journeys actually overlapped. I had him on season 1. We talked about a bunch of different things, dealing with kind of how we got to where we were, the different stigmas attached, and all the fun things that come into just sort of trying to figuring out your way, and just the failures that may come, along with that, and different things that maybe you resisted because I don't know about this because I've never done it before and I've seen other people do it, didn't work out, or just uncharted territory. But both of us have also been on the other side of this thing. And so I'm going to ask him to introduce himself, just for those who didn't see him last time, whatever he wants to say. But I'm so happy that he is here. Still slightly bitter that he's no longer living in the same county as me, and I always find time to rub that in, as well as send him 1,000 memes a day and make sure that he's not bored and not preoccupied with anxiety. So if he's not laughing at my memes, he's probably with his family and doing other things. So without further ado, please welcome Jonathan Zila.
Oh man, all of that is so true and so good. Yeah, so great to be back. I really enjoyed telling parts of my story last time, Darius, to you, and sharing that with your audience. My name is Jonathan Zila. Most people call me Jay-Z. That nickname has stuck, but no Beyonce today on the show, unfortunately. Probably used that joke in the last episode, but it just kills every time, Darius. It kills every time.
Start over, man. You...
So I spend my time leading a small team at Talivity. We do recruitment consulting, talent acquisition consulting, and it's me, my wife Jen, and our family of 4 trying to navigate this wild world. And it's has its bobs and weaves, but we are grateful to be here today.
Yes. And I'm grateful that you're on here. All jokes aside, was definitely looking forward to this. We did have to reschedule, and I've had to do this with other guests before, and it actually worked out because I was not in a place to do it. And so I was just about to text you, and you text me first, and I was like, oh, thank God, because I had a lot going on that day. But it really speaks to honoring your capacity, right? I think that was one of the skills that were missing prior to the grand, opening, grand closing, and the breakdown that happened back in 2018 was not honoring capacity and constantly hitting the override button. I mean, multiple times, to the point where it was just downright abusive, And so, though I was disappointed because I always look forward to talking to you, it was like, you know what? He may have a lot going on as well, so I have to honor that too. And it also works out that I was not in a clear place. So could you speak to having a greater awareness and looking at your capacity, and how that has been something that has allowed you to maintain being in a very sane place as well as healthy?
Yeah, it's a great connection. And for me, I mean, we talked about this a lot on the previous episode, but I don't know, the constraint I felt, like I couldn't be anything other than what people and the church and, the society would ever expected me to be. And on this side of it, Darius, I am absolutely comfortable going, I can't do that right now. I've like established the fact that my mental clarity, my mental health, my happiness, I don't want to go too far on this, but it really is like a new way to look at life, to say you've got to honor what's true to you, what, moves you forward, what is a part of, however you stylize it, your calling, your mission, your purpose, your being for today. I really try and live in this present moment, what's happening right now, and how can I be true to that. And sometimes it's saying no to what seems like the obvious, quote unquote, right thing to do, right?
Right.
This is good for you and I to talk. This is good for us to tell this story. But at that moment, for both of us, we had stuff going on that we had to serve and honor, hold space, kind of make space for. And for me,
Yeah.
I've never been more comfortable doing that.
Yeah.
That's like a real change in the way I operate in life now on this side of it.
So this is a perfect segue into the introduction of what I've been meaning to do for the last 2 seasons. And you made such a wonderful point. If everyone is familiar with Back to the Future, it's one of my favorite movies of all time. Love Michael J. Fox. And if you're familiar with the DeLorean that was used to travel back in time and into the future, they depended on one of the most important things that made time travel possible. And Doc Brown hit his head on something, and that's when it came to him. And so instead of it being called the flux capacitor, I have coined the term flex capacitor. And sir, you have made some great points that have allowed us to flex, because that was a very important point. Here we go.
Oh, fantastic. I love it.
Yes. So thank you for that. And what would you say has probably been the most surprising thing on the other side of anxiety and any of the other symptoms and things that you went through that wasn't necessarily obvious? And we obviously talked about the awareness of having what your capacity is, but what were some other things where you're like, oh wow, I really didn't expect that, or I thought it would look differently once I got to this other side?
Well, the first one that comes to mind is that I thought I was really good at, listening and creating space for others and being that supportive leader. And that has gone to a whole, new level, because I can now hear a really bad story. Like a friend of mine recently, a new friend of mine, just getting to know him, told me that he was suicidal just a
Whoa.
mere couple years ago.
Yeah.
And I had that initial reaction, but I could like engage in that with him
Okay.
versus like the tightening. Like I'd be like, oh my gosh, I've got to rescue this guy.
Yeah.
I've got to, what's my next what's my next move? And instead I just leaned in and I could
Mm.
just chat through it with him. And man, I just feel that. And I'm so glad that you're here today. Again, going back to that present moment,
Yo,
like to me, that's probably
sorry, man. That's a key word. I don't know if you remember Pee Wee Herman had the word of the day, and anytime they said it, they would go crazy. I'm like, yeah, now you get to flex on that one, buddy. So I'm sorry to interrupt, but I had to get you on that one. That's lovely. Please continue.
I feel it. I feel it. It really is. It takes on a different energy when you can
Yeah,
sit in that moment and carry. I mean, that was a really heavy thing he shared with me,
yeah,
and he, he told me some of that story. And again, I'm just leaning in to be compassionate, but I'm not responding like that, just that angst and anxiety and like, what's my next move? I'm leaning in, and he told me, he said, JZ, I've never told anyone that.
yeah,
And, hasn't been to therapy, never told anyone that. And I'm like, well, I'm glad you told me. And I really, and this is, again, I'm just talking this through with you, but these things sort of surprised me that I could sit with that in a really new way.
yeah,
And I just was able to thank it. Like, I appreciate you being vulnerable and sharing with me. And it was just like a great human to human, man to man moment.
yeah. So let me ask you this: what do you think that would have looked like prior to you going through your experience?
I mean, the fist would have been clenched, or
Yeah.
I would have been like, okay, we got to make sure this never happens. I can prevent this. I remember I can do anything, right? Because I hold it all together, right?
Yes.
And so, like, I've got to find the path. Who am I going to contact? How are we going to get? What are we going to do? Like, it would have been this whole plan mode, that would have produced, I mean, probably nothing in him, and just tons of anxiety and nervous energy in me. It would have
Yeah.
been entirely different, in the way I process that.
I think what I'm hearing is you understand where you are and are not supposed to take ownership of things.
Yes.
Where when you are someone who has a big heart and compassionate, sometimes it's like reflex. It's like, I have to fix this or all hope is lost. And now you've created more anxiety for yourself for a problem that's not even yours.
Yeah. That's it. That's it. And that surprised me, Darius. Like, that I didn't really expect that, because again, you don't know these parts of you until you release some of the cords wrapped around them, and you sort of cut those away, and you're like, "Oh." It
The
just
parts,
feels.
and the parts. Are you familiar with internal family systems? Because when you
Yep.
talk about parts, oh man, well that is a perfect segue because um I don't know how you identify yours, but I use like famous actors and characters from movies for mine. And since we're on the topic of a theme of the Flex Capacitor and Back to the Future, my anxiety, kind of like Inside Out, right, is represented by none other than Doc Brown.
Mm.
You remember how anxious he always was? Like, he was always trying to predict and plan for the future. Marty, and he never just greeted him calmly, like, hey, man, how was your day today? It was always, we got to do something. We got to fix something, you know?
Yep.
And even my therapist during sessions, sometimes she would say, is that Doc Brown talking? Or is that one of the other parts that, and I'm like, no, it's Doc. So, and then she would say, well, what is it? You hear what he's saying at the surface. What underneath all that does he really want? And he was just looking for some answers that would give him a sense of safety.
Oh, yeah.
And then what does that look like? Okay, then you need to listen to the things that he thinks could happen and what he's predicting, and then provide evidence to say, this is what we know right now. So you're not discarding him and saying, well, it's just not true, because that doesn't fix anything or relieve anything or provide any type of pathway. You just put up a block, which creates more and more tension, because just because you try to pretend that the issue isn't there doesn't make it go away and doesn't cause your subconscious mind to stop scanning for the threats, right? But if you present present time information to say, okay, that thing you're worried about, is it happening right now? Well, the obvious answer is no. Well, then where in time do we exist right now? So then is there a threat? No. Well, then,
Yep.
okay, we done with Doc Brown. Does anybody else need to come to the front and be heard? Right.
Yeah.
We would just kind of go from there. But I guess, how do you identify your parts, and do you give them silly characters? Do they have names, or do you just kind of name them by the emotion, or?
Yeah, I attach a lot of, like, emotion or the work they're trying to do to
Okay.
them, so, and I've got, explorer, just always trying to create and go do something crazy, and trying, I've got to give him very specific work to do.
Yes. Assignments are beautiful, man.
Yeah, and that's what really struck me. So the other part is I can identify, sort of a point in time and age with them a lot for me, because I had most of my trauma happened in my childhood up until, I don't know, 17, 17, 18. And so a lot of those experiences I can, because I did so much EMDR before we started doing IFS, internal family systems, that EMDR got back to those memories, and we started, working with those underlying emotions. And then that still had thought that they had to do this specific job. And I
Yeah.
had to remind them, my name's Jonathan. I'm 42, 43, depending on the session and the time. I have a family. I can pay my bills. Like, I was going through this, and, I think, like, I mean, therapy's such a wild journey, and I'd take us on crazy paths, but, like, when my therapist spoke to my explorer, like, talked to my explorer,
Mhm.
and I had, done some research and reading to make sure I could, like, answer from my gut and not sort of think.
Right.
That was a mind-blowing experience, Darius, when, I'm gonna lose some of the detail, but they were just anxious to, like, do this job that they didn't need to do,
Yeah.
and we had to work with that, so it's a lot of age, kind of time and age that something happened, or that, deep emotion that just got trapped there doing a job that they
Yes.
thought, "Well, this is what I'm supposed to do,"
Yeah.
and I had to calm them, and, sometimes they weren't ready, and
Yeah. Oh my
the
gosh.
sessions were very frustrating because
Yeah.
we couldn't even really get there.
Yes. I'm glad you said that because my initial time, I thought I could come into therapy with a checklist and I just do it's like an equation, right? We plug in the variable for X, we get Y, and we're great. It's fixed. You fixed it. We've done it. Now we can move on with life and get back to it. Doesn't work that way.
Nope.
Does not work that way. And when you mentioned needing to take several iterations into the healing approach, I'm very familiar with that. As a matter of fact, and I don't know if I mentioned this in the first season with you, um, not only do you hold the memories and emotions of those past traumas and things that maybe the maturity stopped at the age that the trauma happened, you also hold it in your body,
Mhm.
right? And so I all of a sudden got hot, like literally physically hot. And I I asked my therapist, I said, "Did you turn the heat on?" She was like, she looked at me strange, like, "No, I'm sitting right here with you. Like, when would I have gotten up and done that?" Right? I said, "Okay, can I take my fleece off? Whatever you need to do to be comfortable." And I'm still hot. I'm like, "Good God." But I'm just sort of wiggling my legs, and we're still going. And I said, "Can I stand up?" She said, "Yeah, if look, we have the space to do whatever you need to do." And then I start pacing. And she's like, I see what's happening. Cause like it was, I don't know if you remember the song Freak Out. Freak Out.
Yeah.
You probably could have played that while I started pacing the room because I mean, I went down this crazy spiral. And guess what? For that day, for the stuff we were talking about, I was not ready. I simply wasn't. And so we did a breathing exercise, a scanning exercise, and that was it. Session was
Yep.
over. She even said, "Do you need somebody to come pick you up?" And I was like, "Give me 5 minutes. And if my body doesn't come down after we finish these scans, then yeah, I have to make a phone call because I was not in any place to drive or do anything else."
Mm.
That's how bad it had gotten, you know?
Yeah.
But it's not failure when that happens. You've peeled another layer of the onion and
Yes.
you're feeling something that has been trapped for probably decades,
Yeah.
and that's what it was for me. So you really you sparked that memory when you said you weren't ready. I wanted to give a little illustration of what that could look like during a session, or even if you're by yourself trying to journal or do other stuff, like you may come across certain, not just emotions, but sensations in the body that have just been stored like a hard drive.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's back to when as you work through this and you make progress, thank God that, like you and I have, you start to acknowledge that and accept it.
Yes.
Versus when you and I experienced that, we're like, "What is happening? We got work to do. Come on."
I gotta fix it.
And now when you hit that wall, it's like, "Oh, okay.
Yes.
We're not ready for that. Let's see if we can do something else, or if we can simply close with breathing, meditation, journaling, or we got to move on." And now I'm at peace with that. That's another development on this side of it, as you can recognize that and honor it, and so that's good.
I would say a major element of that I had to learn the hard way was self-compassion, because I
Yeah.
wouldn't when you don't regard yourself as human and you think you're a
Mm,
machine that just needs an oil change and a set of fresh tires like you just came into a pit stop in a race, like, you're not gonna give space for yourself to say, "You know what? Let's pause here." It's like, "No. What's wrong with you? You got the oil change, they gave you the fuel. You got a fresh set of tires, get back out there on the road. But sometimes like that's the last thing that you need to do. And sometimes the only thing to do is sort of lay down or go for a walk and say, you know what, today this is what my best looked like. And I'm going
Yes.
to honor that and love myself regardless of what outcome I thought I was supposed to have.
Yes.
So like that took a few years to develop. So I don't want to say it
Same.
like I don't want to say it like, after one hard session, I learned everything and I was able to just do great. Like, no, you have to do this a couple times. I think, and something I was telling, I think my son this week was not every loss is a failure, right? Sometimes you need that. And I'll just sort of flex myself here.
Yeah, you will. Yes.
Yeah, but
You earned that one. That's good.
there are, thank you, I appreciate it. There are lessons learned that you would not have gotten had you been successful across the board, or the first time you tried a mechanism or a coping strategy. If it worked, there are certain things that you would have missed, right? And you and I can actually sit here and laugh about it, and others that are listening who may be going through it can say, oh man, like that's where I am right now, and look at these guys sitting here being able to laugh about it. Not that it's funny in a sense of like we're making fun of each other, but it's like, no, like we were so kind of not, I want to say ignorant, but just sort of naive as to how the healing journey is supposed to work. It's messy. There's nuance, there's gray area, there's just so many things, that even elements of confusion
Mm-hmm.
that are really just messengers about where you actually are, you know? So I guess the next question I would ask you is, what is your relationship now with anxiety and fear?
Mm,
Because you never get rid of it, right?
you
Like, even
don't.
though we say recovery or, free, I hate when people say I can cure your anxiety on like, social media. I'm like, yeah, I can't even, matter of fact, I may block you for saying something like that because it's just not realistic,
That's right.
It's just like
Yeah.
saying, oh, you know what? I can cure you from winter. No, it's coming. It may not snow that bad, but depending on where you live, right? But
Yep.
even you in Georgia, I'm pretty sure you guys got some cold temperature
We
this
sure
past,
did.
right? So there you go. But please,
Yeah, that's a good one. I think those thoughts still come. And I mean, I guess the two things I'm thinking through, one, I have more tools now than I've ever had in my life to work through them. We've hit a few of them, but breath work has become my best friend in my journey through this on the other side.
I gotta do it. I gotta do it. It's fundamental. And for me, I tell people this is non-negotiable. You gotta do it.
Yes. And I'm just, for the sake of the audience, I was a I thought breath work was ridiculous, honestly,
Just
Darius. I thought it was ridiculous. Okay. I did a breathwork session with a facilitator trained, and I'm telling you, I had an out of body experience working through the trauma that was in my body. And I'm like, what just happened? You know?
yeah,
Like, so
yeah,
I just thought it was crazy. And
yeah,
now it is my go-to, man.
yeah. It's wonderful to have that kind of breakthrough. And I experienced not probably to the same magnitude as you, but I was laughing so hard because the first time I think somebody brought it up, like, I don't want to say I was offended, but I was just like, basically, what the hell is that going to do? Like, I'm free now, and you're telling me breath work. Like, it's not going to do anything. This is stupid. Like, give me something else, man. Like, I don't know, like something, a stretch, you know?
Yeah.
But I think I felt like recovery was supposed to take this hard effort, right? Now, there's hard things to experience and sit in, but as far as like, I gotta do something and create it and make it happen and it's all on me, that was where the struggle was. It didn't have anything to do with the breath work because I didn't know anything about it.
Mhm.
So, from what vantage point am I judging this tool I've never utilized? Where is that even coming from? that inner critic that says, you better come up with a formula and something that really was strenuous. That's the only way you can prove your worth, which is a whole nother conversation, right? And
Mhm.
validate that you've actually overcome this thing and beat this thing. Otherwise, you're nothing.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. And so those tools, I think tools are the first thing. Is I have a toolkit that I've never had before. That's the first thing that comes to mind. The
Nice.
second one is kind of these like core philosophies that I've really tried to ground my life on. I don't want to make it too big,
Get ready.
but the first one, that when you specifically ask this question about anxiety and fear, is radical non-judgment towards myself when I feel those things.
Yeah. Please expound.
Because when you go, it's like, what's the quintessential example? When the drunk goes back to the bar.
Mhm.
It's a very shameful, guilt-ridden, bad feeling, right? So when the anxious person that defeated anxiety goes
Mm.
back to the anxiety, you're like, "Oh, I
Mm.
did it again," right?
Mm.
But if you approach it with no judgment, right? And you go, "Okay, it came up. I
Yeah,
have more tools than I've ever had before.
right.
There's no bad or good here. It just happened. A thing happened, and I can work through it. I know how to do it."
Yes.
Like, so that's like a core philosophy that I think has driven the relationship with anxiety and fear in a completely different zone.
Mm. Man, more. You said you had a couple, man. Give me
Yeah, and then the flip side of that is unconditional love towards myself and others.
yeah, that one. I have to keep that one on for the rest of the
Because then you go, "Okay, a thing happened,"
Yes.
and you go, "Remember, I love who I am becoming, who I am and who I'm becoming, and I love the folks around me that care for me and I care for them." Like, you go back into that posture like, "Okay, this thing happened, but
Mhm.
this is how I feel towards myself and others," right? And you've got you just got a completely different mindset for how you approach it. And again,
Yeah.
like, this isn't a perfect system. Like, for those listening that are stuck in it or navigating it, don't hear it as a perfect system. These are the tools and the postures and and sometimes you get it right and sometimes you're like, "Oh,"
Yeah.
but these are the things I just come back to, and it does, it's a bit of a flywheel. You keep doing
Yeah.
it, you keep trying it, and you really continue to make progress over time.
That is so good. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it reminds me, like, last year I had to go to physical therapy 3 times, right? So, again, you talk about the iteration, and it was a different body part each time, right? So, it's like, oh my gosh. But everything you just said about how it's not, like, a perfect system, like, there are certain movements that were assigned, I'm like, I can't do that today, And it does you well to give that feedback to the person who's working on you to say, you know what, when you go at that angle, that's really painful. Not like a hard where it's just tight and we need to work through this. I'm saying there's probably a possibility of causing damage. So can we do a modified version of this or maybe wait until next week? Right. And the same philosophy goes true for the brain. Certain stories or things, memories that come up from the past, you're just not we said this earlier, you're just not ready for it. But I think the importance of, like, any prognosis, diagnosis is only as good as the amount of information you're willing to share about what got you here and what you're experiencing now. And so that is a good segue into shame. And
Mm,
so the more you kinda tighten up and hold on to certain things, and yeah, there is sort of a trust building process you may have to go through with your therapist, right? Like, you don't come on day 1 just doing the fire hydrant, right? But at some point, you're gonna have to say some things that are hard to talk
yeah.
about. Otherwise, it'll stay stuck.
Yep.
And there were many things I kinda had to say, even maybe it came out with some explicit words at the same time. Because I never maybe gave that earlier version of myself a voice to speak on the anger, the frustration, or, why did that happen? And I felt like nobody was there during that moment to give me a safe space, you know?
Yeah.
One of the things you do is kinda turn inward and say, "Well, maybe not something I did, it's maybe because who I am." So, since I couldn't control the other factors, I can control even if it's negative towards me, I kinda have a lever for that, and
Yeah.
it's familiar. So, that kinda sucks, but it's a weird kinda thing that you when you talk about the whole revisiting thing, we tend to go back to what is familiar, and that kinda speaks to one of the philosophies that I mentioned in my books, the sort of small plug here, Leaving Jupiter, Navigating Your Anxiety Recovery, available on, Amazon as well as beyond-anxiety.com. Okay, got that out the way. Uh, but that discomfort is your friend, and I'll just have to go ahead and
There it
back
is.
my nose there, and the thing is, as long as it's not the indication, like I mentioned before, from a physical standpoint, that damage is happening, there are aspects of even if you're, like, lifting weights, like, there's a point where when you get towards the end of a set, it hurts, but you're not tearing a muscle, it's just you're building new strength to where, "Okay, this is a challenge," not something that is causing, like, permanent or, painful damage, right? So there is a threshold, and it is kinda gray, but a good therapist will show you, "Hey, I think we're going into a dangerous ground here, let's pause."
Yeah.
And this is why I always say, this isn't something you can do by yourself because, like any good coach or anybody who's training you to get in shape, right? They understand the importance of pace because
Yes.
you can get injured, right? If you do it too hard, too fast, or you're doing a new motion you've never done before, you have to kind of take your time. Or if you're navigating through a part of your mind that's, or your heart that's been wounded, you got to take your time with it. And you're not
Yeah.
going to get it all in one scoop, you know?
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
and I think that's it's a good word, and it just reminded me too that, having a therapist that can, make those changes on the fly, like that to me was when I finally got to my, therapist that has really helped me through the kind of the largest leaps of progress is she could see when my body language changed, right? When
uh,
I couldn't see it,
yeah,
right? And so it was like, "Hey, tell me what you felt right there." And I was like, "How do you know that?" And she's like, "Well,
right.
because you like you
Yep.
moved your legs in or whatever it is, right?" And I was like, "Oh, she's watching all those things as I process them, right? And
Good.
helping me know when it's like, hey, we're going a little weird here. Let's put that back in the compartment and we'll kind of tackle that later." So
Yeah.
that's a key thing too when you because I think I talked about this last time, but gone through several therapists to get to this place,
Yes.
right? And so like having someone who can help you see those things when you can't, also really important on the journey.
Yeah. No, my therapist said the same thing. I'm looking at her dead in her face. She said, "Where are you right now?" I'm like, "Right here in the room. What are you talking about?" Right? Like, she's like, I just lost you." And then when I thought about it, I was like, dang, yeah, I did sort of float when things had gotten a little uncomfortable and even dissociated a little bit.
Mhm.
But whatever cues I did, she saw it right away. She stopped. She said, "You all right?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." But we had this kind of mechanism, almost a knee-jerk reaction for that to be the response, even though underneath, it's not. It's not even close.
Yeah.
And I think she helped me understand that day that you're doing that thing again, where things aren't going well or you're not, on the inside, you're experiencing something and you just hit the override button again and
Yep.
just to try to get through the moment or not look, disgraceful, and she saw it right away. She was really good at picking up the type of cues that you were talking about.
Yeah,
And
it's
I just
so
thought it was just
helpful.
a normal interaction, you know? And because when she paused, it kinda I was like, "What? Why are we stopping?" Like, keep she's like, "No, you're not here." I'm like, "I'm sitting here. What are you talking about?" And then when we did the little pause thing, which I hated in the beginning,
Mhm.
"Why are we pausing?" Like, "Let's just get through it. I need my check mark so I can say I've done it, Give me my diploma,
The gold star, yep.
Right, I want my sticker." She's like, "No, you're not getting a sticker today. You're dysregulated. You're dissociated. So let's stop here
Right.
and figure out tell me, like you said, what are you feeling right now in the moment? And then once we started to go through that, it's like, wow, I've put in a mechanism to just ignore all those things. And somebody finally gave me space to let it come to the surface and actually talk about it. And that day, it wasn't that bad. It was uncomfortable. This is where discomfort comes in, but it wasn't that bad. And I said, oh, wow. Okay. Now that we've experienced that and realized that it wasn't going to be the end of my emotional well being, I think I'd like to do that again. And then you get a rhythm for it. It's like, all right, I'm ready for the hard stuff. And I'd come with my journal and have a list of things and say, all right, here's some more hard ones, man. Let's see how many we can get through today. I'm not expecting to get through all this, but
Yeah.
maybe even if we just do one, let's try it. Like I'm willing now. I'll sit with it. I'll be in the moment of uncomfortability and say, I trust you enough to help me navigate this.
Yeah, it's good.
What would you say to someone who's been doing the work, but then feels like, man, I just can't get to the quote unquote other side? I don't really think you even know what the other side looks like until you've kind of been there for a little while. And it
Mhm.
kind of not necessarily space and time, but space in your development, which can be sort of, I guess it involves time a little bit, but I guess I've come to the understanding that, the whole thing of time heals all wounds. I'm like, no, it doesn't. It's the work that you do in that time, that really heals all the wounds. But
Yeah.
what would you say to, I guess, that particular piece?
Yeah, I think I have a complicated relationship with what's the other side, even though we've obviously talked about that. And I do believe progress has happened,
Mhm.
but I've watched one of my best friends, kind of navigate the ups and downs of this journey. And so I guess I would say after years of doing this work, I know how to deal with life as it comes at me better than I ever have. Like
Mm,
that's gotten better. And so like, hold on, keep doing the stuff that you should be doing, and progress really does feel good, and even articulating it to you, just almost like
it's
a little,
energizing, right?
right? It's energizing. It really does like remind me of how far I've come, and so maybe that's the tip is actually find someone you trust who's
Yeah,
doing the work and talk them through what you're experiencing, the progress you've made, the things you hope to do,
yeah,
because I'm energized, on 30 minutes so far with you to go, oh man, this is really producing results in my life. And
yeah,
like, I can go, there's things I've even thought about, oh, I can go back to that and I can like do some more work on that. So I think, sometimes you got to send memes to this person, but sometimes you got to have a heart,
yeah,
a real deep heart level conversation.
yes,
And I think that's what I'd say is like, stay the course. That's the easy thing. But like, find someone who's doing the work and
yeah,
like talk through some of this that you're feeling, you're experiencing, you're progressing, you're declining, you're back, whatever. And just kind of find some new energy in that to stay the course. And don't lose, kind of don't lose the connection with this, this present moment back to that because that really helps me like just stay grounded, and like
yeah,
and there's again tools and tools and tools to, from meditations to literally putting my bare feet on the grass. That's something I do pretty
yeah,
often. But like get back in this present moment and be like, okay, you know, find your center again.
yeah. No, you hit on a really important thing, and that is connection. This past year, I joined an anxiety coaching group, not where I'm doing the coaching, but I'm being coached. And even
Wow.
the leader was like, dude, you wrote a book, like you overcome, like, how am I supposed to really help you? Like, basically, why are you here if you, and it came down to something that believe it or not, I used to go to Weight Watchers, and some people think it's not just about the weight, right? It's I wanted a connection with the community that could hold me accountable. When you get on the scale, you're sort of held accountable. You meet people who are having some of the same, struggles or challenges that you're having. That was the part that I wanted. And even one lady, and I couldn't believe she even called me out. She was like, "You're look at your size, like, what are you doing here?" And I'm like, "Really? Like, you asked me that in front of the group?" And I'm like, "All right, well," I was like, "I have a family history of all types of different health issues, and why not be in a community of people who are striving to do the same thing I'm trying to do, not just lose weight, but to develop healthy habits, and you all are doing that, and I feel safe in saying that, last week I couldn't get enough of that crumble cookie, you know? And so I'm looking for some encouragement here, or what are some alternatives, I can do to enjoy something sweet without overindulging, because if I do enough of this, even though I don't carry like appearance wise as a larger person, like I know when I step on that scale and my joints and back know that you're heavier than what you need to be. So I'm like, don't judge me by the appearance of how I look. I'm here for a totally different reason, and same thing with the community that I was involved with this past year was the exact same thing. We met on a weekly basis, and some of the talks were structured. Other times we had time to just share just things that we were dealing with during that week, or we had modules that we would go through. And the thing is, these things weren't like unfamiliar to me, you know? But it's like I still need reinforcements. I still need to do the things that I know to do. And I want the accountability so that I can do it. It's just like if I tell myself, I'll lose 5 pounds, and I don't tell anybody and I don't lose the weight, who cares? Nobody knows. And I can just kind of make an excuse with them myself. But if somebody else, I come to a group and say, "Hey man, how's your journey going?" I'm like, yeah, had some Haagen Dazs like three times in one day, you know, and nothing wrong with Haagen Dazs, but you shouldn't be eating it multiple times during the day. And when's the last time you went to the gym or just went for a walk? I can't even tell you. Well, you're in the right place because hey, we struggle with these things too. We're not gonna make you feel bad. And I feel like that is such a key point and you got to be careful, right? Not everybody has your best interest in mind or may give you some type of advice that is not, they're not
Yeah.
like they can tell you something that maybe worked for them. Maybe it was too extreme. Maybe it's not something that you need to use. Not every tool, not every like breathing pattern mechanism 478 in the beginning was horrible for me.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
know? But I said all to say, how has community helped you along with the tools that, doing the work individually, which is important. Nobody else can do that part for you. But there is an element of community. And can you speak to the audience about that part where that has been just as important as the individual stuff?
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm scrolling through a couple of those moments similar to what you described with maybe not as a defined group, but the folks that I've opened up to that are also on a therapy journey
Yes.
that are, not giving me all kinds of unsolicited advice, but are just processing like how they're experiencing it. And like I've talked them off the ledge, quote unquote. Probably not a good example to use, but you get what I'm saying?
Yes.
When they've talked me off the ledge, when I'm like, I'm not in a good spot, right?
Yeah.
And like to me, I think that really encourages me to keep that community, that connection, because I, I helped them kind of find a new path
Yeah.
when, a month after they helped me find my new center again, so to me that's like the best way is when you can have it going both ways, and you don't really find that on like, I don't know, Instagram comments or, a text message. It's
Yeah.
like this, and like you and I've had some good back and forths
Yeah.
on, Instagram or over text, but nothing like the couple of few times now that we've like talked like this to go through, right? And like finding a community you can do that with, like you said, weekly. You
Yeah.
know, one of my friends, we talk twice a week about, and we're both on the same journey. So and it's just organic. Like there's not a system to it, so I don't want to make it seem. Sometimes we're talking about our dogs, or how much kids cost,
Yeah.
or whatever, right?
Well, you get me started on that.
It's crazy. But it really is centering, and the back and forth that happens in those relationships is really powerful.
Yeah. I think one other thing that it sounds like you're saying as well is you don't have to worry about feeling judged, right? Like I could tell you like a big mistake that I made, or one of the times that one of my symptoms, which can be very weird for anxiety. Most people just think about feeling nervous, right? It's so much deeper than that. It
Mhm,
manifests in so many more ways than that. If I had to explain to you what it felt like to be in dissociation, right? I know I would look in your eyes and be like, dang, he doesn't even see me the same now, you know?
mhm.
Or if I mention like the times that multiple nights I couldn't go to sleep, and play video games, or I remember one time I just stared at the clock for like hours, and that is probably one of the biggest mistakes because
Yeah, it sure is. Yeah.
conception of slowing time down is like horrible when you're watching the weeks go by, man.
Yep.
It's
That's
don't
what we do,
ever
though.
do that. But
That's what we do.
yeah, yeah, or the one time because I was convinced that I wasn't gonna make it, I would look in the closet at my wardrobe. Do you remember the movie Ghost? Patrick
Mhm.
Swayze pretty much had the same outfit on during the rest of the movie after he was unalived, right? So in my brain, I'm like, I can't wear that because I have to wear that for forever, if I don't make it. This will you see what I'm saying?
Wow.
Do you see how dark it can go? But
It
I know I
is.
can share that with somebody like yourself or other people in
Yes.
my community, and they would laugh with me
That's right.
because they've been to that dark place or even darker where they're like, oh my gosh, yeah, I'm not so crazy after all because like someone else who's walking the journey or been through it or been to a deeper, darker place, like knows what that is, and I can find a safe place to be seen and heard.
Yes. And we need those emergency valves because those things come. Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, man. So it's been an incredible journey. I know this year I'm probably gonna go back to do either some other form of coaching and therapy, even if it's on a really light and not as frequent pace as it was in the darker times. But
Mhm.
just like you don't take your car to the shop to get an oil change every day, you still got to go every 5,000 miles, 3 months or 6 months or whatever, you know. And they may find something or point something out to you and say, "Hey, you should probably change this before the next 10,000 miles." And I remember my therapist had pointed out something to me, which she's like, "Feel like you're starting to spiral." I'm like, "No, I'm not. I'm fine." And guess what? 2 weeks later, I'm like, "Hey, I know we're scheduled to talk on like a week from now, but can we meet tomorrow?" It's like, yeah, I've been waiting for this call. You called it, man. But
Yeah.
just having that available, and being able to pull from, like you said, the toolkit, whether it's a person, whether it's a breath exercise, whether it's going for a walk, putting your bare feet on the ground, having those things available for me, it gives you a sense of hope.
Yeah.
And even in the times where maybe a combination of those things aren't working at the time, you still have the toolkit of, like you said, unconditional love and self-love.
Yes.
And to me, I feel like that's the most powerful thing in the world. And if the other things aren't working, you can always count on that.
Sure can.
Yeah, man. So as we're getting at towards the end of this, we do have our quick fire round, which is slightly different than last time you came on. It might be another one or two on here that you had, but we'll keep you honest and see if you were telling us the truth last time or if you just shot it from your hip and like, I didn't really mean to say that. but but before I say that, I want to give you the opportunity to Let us know what is next for you in your journey. I know in the pre-record we talked about like ideas of like writing books and stuff like that, and I'd mentioned to you after going through the process how I discovered that it really was kind of a mental health process in and of itself because I created all these barriers in my brain to say, yeah, I can't do this. And then when I did, I was like, yeah, I could probably do another one in 3 months, knowing what I know now without all the silly limitations and trying to write this perfect piece of work when that's
Mm,
what your editor's for, you know? Just write the doggone thing and send it to them. They'll send it back with all the corrections. And once I did it, I was like, man, that wasn't even that much. I think I spent 2 weeks doing that part. I'm like, so what was I worried about? Right.
wow.
Um, so yeah, I mean, so I had to say, like, let us know what is next. I mean, whether it's a book or not, or just a mindset, or just things that you want to practice in the new year of 2026.
Yeah, my my answer is going to be a little boring here because I am practicing living in the present moment a lot. And so that means I'm not planning for like I'm not I have ideas on like what comes next, but I'm really trying to prevent that part of my brain that forever has planned out everything for a long time and go, "Okay, how can I be with my family today?"
Mm,
You know?
yes,
Right?
yes, indeed.
When I'm at work, how can I be present and, you know, with the folks that I'm building and working with in a way that's real?
Hmm.
When I'm hanging out with some friends in the morning for coffee, how can I, like, be present with them and
Yeah.
not thinking through like, "Ooh, if they have a problem, I can help them solve it," just really getting present and curious. Curious, I think, Darius, that's my word of the year,
Mm,
is to be curious.
hmm. I love it. I love it. You mentioned about the possibility of it sounding boring, but really, when you are healing, you're also expanding, right? And so the things that used to occupy your heart and mind that took up space, and I'm saying this because I'm going through the same process, and because I was so prone to not just want to plan and fix stuff, but I was always scanning like an antivirus. When I learned to shut that off and be okay with the uncertainty, it absolutely felt boring. And it actually made me even more anxious because I'm like, I should be doing something, preparing for the next shoe to drop, you know? But when you mentioned about staying in that focus place, it's not, it may feel boring, may sound boring, but it's almost like you're preparing a field for the next kind of crops of seeds that are going to grow. And it's not going to be weeds and things that are, you
That's
know,
good.
going to have you put in so much work to try to fix and make sure that the field is great. You've gotten rid of most of that stuff, and the stuff that does spring up, not to be so anxious if it does show. It's like, okay, that's a part of a field's experience. I can just
Wow.
either let it grow for a little while, or I can go and just pick that part out, but not spend my time so preoccupied looking for the next weed. Right.
That's what I'm doing this year. That is a man, yes. Yes.
you know, but it took me a while to embrace that because I'm like, well, I'm not being productive. Or the thing I said to my anxiety coach was, I'm going to lose my edge if I don't have something opposing me or something to fight against. Like, what did Apollo Creed tell Rocky? Where do we go, Stallion? Because you can't be born again. Where do warriors go? You know, it's a new type of being a warrior where
Mhm.
you're a warrior of hope, a warrior of compassion and unconditional love. You're
Yes.
helping people to come out of that lie about having to grind your way through life. And if you're not grinding and getting accolades and being successful, that you're not worth anything. But
Yes.
really, you're creating a ticking time bomb for you to self-destruct, and you don't even know that it's coming. So
That's a
that's
good
what power is, man.
That's a sermon I want to hear, sir.
So, and listen, that wasn't even on the
Man.
you sparked that in me, and I gave it back right to you, man. So
Wow.
thank you for
Thank you.
sharing all those
Thank
different
you.
things because it resonates. And I'm like, you are so spot on. And let me tell you how this, manifested in me where I thought I wasn't doing enough or being enough. It's like, no, you're exactly
Wow.
where you're supposed to be.
Thank you for helping
Because
me
like
process that.
absolutely, because the next level that is coming will involve what my theme of the year is alignment.
Mm.
Alignment will bring you into your true authority, which is based on your identity. Aligning with all those things that make you who you are. And guess what? Nobody can take that away from you. You don't have
Mm-hmm.
to work for it. It's always been there. Now you've got quiet enough or boring enough for the noise to go away and all the water that was murky that you couldn't see the bottom. Now you can see the bottom. And there's another clear map to where you need to go.
Wow. Thank you.
Bam.
Bam is right. Wow.
That's a good place to end this show, as well as we still have to do our quick fire round of 10 questions. So if
Oh,
you
let's
are
do it.
ready, my friend, we will
Let's
start with number
do it.
1. Do you prefer journaling or talking it out?
Oh, I'm a talker, man. I have had to discipline myself to journaling because of the power that it brings.
Yeah.
But give me a live podcast to talk through all
Right.
my crazy and come and just work through it. I'm a talker, man.
Nice, nice, nice. One big leap or steady small steps?
Oh, just put me on the mega high diving board and let's see what happens. Big leap.
Money or time?
Oh, it's money. Darius, it's money.
Yeah. Hey, hey, you know what? These are your answers, not mine. I don't judge. Smoothie or milkshake?
Dairy free smoothie.
Nice, nice. Saying no or asking for help?
Oh, you hit me with one of those
Juicy ones.
penetrating questions.
Yes. I try not to
Oh,
put these in here because it's supposed to be a 2-second response, but I was like, oh no, we're putting that one in here.
it's a good one. I mean, asking for help is such a beautiful practice.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
yeah. Sweet. Rest as recovery or rest as prevention? Another deep one.
Rest is prevention. I think it's a key part that is undervalued in our society.
Yes. Take notes on paper or type in a laptop.
Ooh, this is, like I've got both methods in action, but I think I'm like I'm not going to take a third version, but I'm going to say type on a laptop or voice note right into the iPhone.
Yeah, I'm with you. I put all my stuff in Google Notes now and just
Oh yeah.
Google Docs and just come back to it later. What's your favorite time of the day?
Early morning.
Ooh,
Give me a 5 a.m. meditation every day.
I don't know if we could be roommates, man. I've always hated the morning. Being married to an extrovert who's just as bubbly, I'm just like, oh my God.
Yep, we're flipped on this in this house.
What is your favorite emotion to experience now?
Ooh. I think joy has a new ring to it
Yeah,
for me because I can experience it fully now.
nice, nice. So I asked you this last time, but enough time has gone by that this may have changed. But what
Mm.
current book are you reading or did you finish reading?
I am currently reading Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Man, that's a whole nother podcast for us, man.
Let's hit that one next
Gotta
time
come back. Yes, you gotta come back.
because, really talking about getting present, getting deep, talking about what's happening at the cellular level and trying to move forward in that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a mind bender.
I got goosebumps just like right now, man, because I've been watching him off and on, but I would say more intensely the last 3 months
Yep.
on YouTube and just things where I'm like, This makes so much sense and is very practical.
Oh, it's so practical, man. And that's my 5 a.m. I've got a meditation group here in Atlanta,
Oh, nice.
Dr. Joe kind of, group, and
Yeah.
that's where I do a lot of these 5 and 6 a.m. meditations with that group, and they are so practical and incredibly fruitful.
Yes. Oh, man, and just that feeling of being grounded, man, is just lovely, especially because sometimes if, like, having generalized anxiety disorder, you're so prone to excessive worry, so you can wake up with just being on 10,
Mm-hmm.
just mentally. Not even you feel fine physically, but, like, your brain is already trying to, prevent the next nuclear attack. You know what I mean? You're like, "Good God, just 5 seconds out of and these are the thoughts." But having something like that where you can say, "Okay, yep, guess what? Doc Brown, come to the front. We're gonna settle you on in and let you be seen and heard. And now that you've been seen and heard, you can just let or what was the illustration my second therapist gave me about the river and putting the issue in that leaf and letting it float, which
Yeah.
initially I thought was like, "This is dumb, man. It's not gonna fix anything." But the subconscious mind cannot tell the difference between what is real and imagined, you know? So you can pretty much dial in whatever internal reality that you want just from where you
Yes.
focus, man. And once I understood that and I'm just scratching the surface on it, I'm like, you know what? It doesn't matter what's happening externally. I can control my inner world with just a different way of thinking and practicing what I allow to come in and what I allow to flow through, you know?
Yes. Yes. And that we got to spend some time on the next time, because this
Yes.
has been a lot of the practical work on this side. Back to the theme of today's, show. On this side of it, now we're doing some of that deep internal work
Yeah.
that's different than therapy, but
Yeah.
really still has some of those same foundational elements of, like, setting your internal mind, your internal being on the right path. And that book, Becoming Supernatural, has been a big key part of that for me.
Perfect segue to give you the last flex capacitor, sir. A perfect segue to wrap up the show, man. This has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for agreeing to come on. I'm thankful that for whatever was happening with us a few weeks ago, that allows us to do it today, because I don't think it would have been as good, to be honest.
Yep.
So yes, thank you for being on, and to all the listeners, thank you for tuning in. You know the slogan: find your recovery path. Till next time. Take care.
So good.